Good morning. Welcome back. So, today I am going to talk about my personal reseller rules. I've been at it. I've been putting pen to paper again. I think, it comes natural to me to always want to be kind of trying to make sense of stuff and work out what's the best way to do things for me, not for, you will know that if you've been watching my channel for a while, not for, I think generally, I think a lot of the time I'm swimming in a different direction to other people, quite honestly. So these are my reseller rules that I've come up with this morning, and I thought I'll share them. For some people, you might be like, actually, I'm similar to that. Or you might think, wow, glad I'm not like that. Whichever might be of help. Anyway, yes. So I've come up with 4 rules. So I'm going to talk about those and then why. Why, like, those for me. So I did say, like, a few weeks back or a month or so, I did join the Daily Refinement group because I've been a bit losing my way and not sure, especially with lots of changes going on at home and moving house and going to be, just my income. I've been scratching my head and, well, that's a polite way of putting it, panicking about what I'm going to do, how my reselling's going to change, what I need to do to, to keep us afloat. Life stuff, really. So I need a direction. I don't know. Does this work anymore? Somebody quick. I need some help. But so I have actually edited my level on the Patreon group from I was on the level where you can join all the calls and watch all the back calls, and I've actually dropped to, and I'll talk about that in a minute, I've dropped to just the reseller podcast level. So, oh no, now I'm going to need to blame my snozzle. Right, apologies if I keep sniffing. Reseller rules. So, number 1, and I've spoken about this before, and it's a bit like going back to basics for me. I've been thinking about this last few days. And so number 1 for me is still, and I've mentioned this before, is to pick up 10 to 20 items a week with a minimum 10 to 20 pound profit plus some lower end. I'm not going out seeking the lower end profit items, but if I see them and I know they're a quick seller, I know it goes against a lot of what people are following, but for me, I'm picking them up. And I'll come to why in a bit. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is and I've spoken about this before, is to only buy popular items. And, they sell quicker. I'll come to this in a minute again, the explanation, but that's one of the rules. Only buy popular items. For instance, yesterday, and I had a similar thing with a dress last week. Yesterday, I went sourcing. I went to 2 towns. I went to 11 charity shops because one was shut yesterday. I picked up 1 item, and partly because of the costs. If I'm going to spend 10, 12, 15, up to 20 pounds on an item, I want it to be providing more than a £5 profit, for me. So yesterday, and I think a lot of the time, the items that we can pick up, that there's margin for a profit to resell still, are items that go under the radar. We know the brand and the person that's priced it doesn't, or they don't, for some reason they're not valuing it, and we're like, no, that's got value. I can pick that up. So the 1 item I picked up yesterday was a M&M, like a boucle cardigan jacket thing with pretty button, faux pearl buttons. and boucle jacket cardigans apparently back in. And although I said I'm a bit off M&M, it's one of those things, with brands, like certain things, yeah, other things, no. But this one, it was £13, which was a bargain, I thought, for this little boucle cardigan jacket thing. And the place where I feel like whoever priced it was not talking to the other person who priced a M&M vest in the summer for 15, because this was obviously more weight and more value. So that's the only one thing I picked up yesterday, and I listed it straight away for 85, sent out offers of 75, people watching straight away. Somebody contacted me and said, I'll give you 65 now. I said, thank you very much. Because although you might be able to, maybe you could get 85 to 100 on eBay, but then obviously you've got to take the fees off, you've got to wait for that right person. If I can flip that within the hour and made £52 profit, yeah, that's absolutely fine for me. So yeah, number 1, 10 to 20 items. Number 2, popular items. Number 3, I said this on the last video, my max spend on one item now is 20 quid. I'm not going over that because, as we all know from my last video, I get myself into trouble. And it's very easy for me to spend more than £20 on an item because I don't know what happens to me. I go a bit dizzy with it, and I'm like, yeah, I'll buy that. What? No, because it's so difficult when you've spent more than 20 quid to have to make that back before you're even into, and fees, if you're paying fees, until you're into a profit margin. It's got to stop. So up to 20. Ideally, I'd pay 50p for everything, but I get much more happiness out of buying something for 50p and flipping it for a tenner than I do out of spending 20 and making 20. I know the profit margin is better on the 50p, but the actual amount on the per item is less, but it gives me more pleasure. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So that's number 3, max spend. Number 4 is sticking to my no-lows list. So you've got the BOLOs, be on the lookout for, and the no-lows, not on the lookout for. And I have a massive, my no-lows list. Actually, no, because it's in my head mostly. Sometimes I do have to write down, for crying out loud, stop picking up mint velvet, that kind of thing. Sometimes you have to write it down so you can refer to it and go, it's on the list, don't pick it up. And you're like, but no. So, and I've tried and tested that, and I've ignored the list, picked something up and regretted it. So no lows. So yeah, I've got my 10 to 20 pound profit on 10 to 20 items minimum. Popular items, max spend 20 quid, stick to the no lows. So that's my 4, for me, my personal reselling rules. So here we'll get to the why. So, and this is what I've been concluding recently when I've been swimming around out in the water, not knowing what I'm doing, looking for direction. And, I've really enjoyed listening to the calls on Daily Refinement Group, really enjoyed it. And it's really helped clarify things for me. All of our experiences help us, they shape our future. So it's not just been that, learning, I've learned something about jewelry today from the jewelry call. It's not just that, it's helping me get straight in my head what's right for me, not necessarily what's right for everybody in the group. And they are different, mostly different things. So what I have concluded is, obviously, like everybody, I need a minimum amount of earnings to cover my bills and hopefully a bit of spends. That's a given. But I actually don't really want to scale. And I think most, obviously, and for good reason, most reselling groups, they're all power groups, really. And that's brilliant for people that want to scale. And hats off to everybody. that's a great thing. That's a great, some people need to, but my circumstances are different. For me, what it's made me realise is I don't want to scale, actually. And that might sound really bizarre. That might sound like, oh, of course you do. Of course you want more money. Well, no, we'd all like more money, but I don't want to scale with what it entails to scale. And what I was finding was I was really thinking about it's got to be a minimum £20 profit per item, blah, 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 blah. And actually it was stressing me out. For me, the scaling does become a grind, because having to keep going and sourcing for me should be a fun part of what I do. It shouldn't become a grind. It shouldn't become, oh God, I'm so tired, I really want to go back now, but I can't, I've got to keep going because I haven't got enough items. I don't want my reselling to become like a job. I mean, it's a job, but for me, it's also a lifestyle. And I chose it to get away from, I think a lot of people do, from the job lifestyle. I don't want it to be a 9 to 5, to be honest. I'm happy to put lots of hours in, but I don't want it to be fixed on, job type constraints and hassle and grind. I think I was getting myself in a pickle. And I thought, I don't know if this is working. And then I was panicking as well. How is this going to happen? Because I couldn't find enough things within the profit bracket that I was learning is what we should be doing, but if you choose that model, and the model's not for me. And as I said, total respect to anybody that's following it, total respect. Please don't take that as a criticism. It's not, but for me, I'm talking about, if anybody's watching this, that is scaling and doing it brilliantly. Lots of people are, and that's because they've chosen that. And also it's different circumstances, isn't it? It's like, some people might be trying to save up for a house. Well, that's not my position right now. I'm after income and a bit of spends for me and my girls. So, and I've done, I worked for donkeys at different jobs and doing loads of overtime and all the rest of it. And that's when I was, putting money into a mortgage and overpaying and all the rest of it. So, for me, reselling is also about a lifestyle. And I want to enjoy thrifting. I want to enjoy what I'm doing every day and going and looking, for stuff. And I don't want to treat it as a job. I want it's a lifestyle, as long as I'm getting the minimum amount of it that I need. Partly as I want it as a lifestyle is because I don't want to be stressed. I don't have enough stress right now, as we all know. But I was getting myself in a pickle and getting very stressed with trying to find enough stuff that met the requirements, and it was taking the fun away from it. And I've got to say, I need a bit of fun right now, and I don't need stress from what I'm doing for income. I don't need that at any point. And I had stress from jobs. I definitely don't want stress from reselling. The other thing is, variety. I get bored quite easily. Like, I can decide I like something and I can throw myself full scale into it and completely immerse myself in that area, which is why I sometimes go, oh, I'm selling paperweights, I'm selling clothing now. And I mean, you've all seen it, and I'm all over it. And then I go, bored now, which is, as it's been building up, is not a bad thing, because I've retained a bit of knowledge from lots of different areas, which means I can be an everything seller. I mean, not everything. As when I sold for a charity, I had no control over what donations were brought in. So I have sold Lego, I have sold electricals, I have sold, oh my God, any type of electrical you can think of. I mean, I remember going onto one of Z's videos to learn how to what to do with a record player, because you have to put certain screws in or take screws out, I can't remember now, to package it to post. I mean, oh God, some of the stuff, I didn't want to sell it, but I had to because you just generate money for the charity. So I did learn from that. I don't enjoy doing electricals. That's not for me. That does not bring me enjoyment. Although I know there's money there and lots of people do enjoy it as well. That's not for me. But I know a little bit about a lot of areas I have enjoyed that I can pick up. For instance, I'm just sat in front of my shelves here. So, one of these, a bit of a bowl, a gooseberry Pyrex mixer bowl thing, Cinderella bowl, which, what did I pay for this? £4.50, in an expensive charity shop as well. But yeah, had I not have, so how did I learn about these? Maybe from watching people's videos. I did sell a lot of Pyrex at one point. Maybe I was just doing a lot of breakables. Anyway, but it's something I've looked into and, retained, and I just saw it and like, oh yeah, I love that. But as well as I might pick up, a piece of clothing like yesterday, or I might pick up a soft toy or some jewellery, and I enjoy all those things. I need the variety to keep me out of trouble, so keep my mind out of trouble. I need a bit of variety because I get bored. I don't even mind like a main thing that I'm selling, but as long as I can pick up other bits around it, and that's part of the lifestyle for me, and keeping my interest and keeping it fun. So I've written something down here. I don't know what it is. Oh yeah, so it's the opposite of niching down, really. And it's a bit of a hybrid model, really, because, and this is why it's for me, because obviously from the group, like a lot of it is about niching down. I think there are some everything sellers in there actually, but a lot of it's about niching down and also flipping things quickly. Now, I don't want to niche down, but I do want to flip things quickly. So like yesterday, I mean, it doesn't get better than that. Bring it back, photograph it, £50 odd profit within the hour, I think, an hour or two. Yeah, I'm happy with that, thanks. So I guess that's like the flipping model, and in what I'm talking about is more of a picking model, but I'm a bit of a hybrid. I mean, obviously I wouldn't just fit into one category because that's not my way. So I want to be able to choose some of the more interesting but profitable things from lots of categories, I guess. And that's what keeps it, interesting. But with keeping one eye on it's still got to make a profit. You still got to live, keeping one eye on that ball. And I think it's achievable. I mean, at the moment as well, and I'll do another video on this in a week or a few days or something. I'm running on less than 30 items at the moment because, like yesterday, well, that might have been one more on my store, but it came back out immediately. So I'm not at, like what they call reseller nirvana, where you what you list every day is what you sell every day. But I'm operating on a very minimalist shop, whatever you want to call wardrobe, very minimalist. And that's good for me as well, because I get bored as soon as I start seeing stuff like, when I'm looking through my listings and, do I need to reduce of this? Is it the price that's wrong? Is there anything else wrong? As soon as I start looking there and it's you again, is it? Oh, you're still there, are you? I just go crazy. I'm like, no, it's coming out. And sometimes I either sell it. Well, yeah, I just sell it mentally cheap, really. So I think, I don't know if the person that bought from me on Insta's, I do think they got a good deal with what I sent them the other day, because I just no, I paid more for that stuff. That's not the point. I just need to move on so I can do other stuff. So I just get totally bored. So yes, that's fairly, can we call that concise? I'm a minimal amount of waffle on that. It was only 20 minutes. So yeah, I'm feeling a little bit more positive that I've worked out what I should be doing for me. And I felt a little while ago like I needed direction, but at the end of the day, you do need to, it's you that's got to decide what works for you. And listening to lots of different people talk about the way they do things has helped me clarify what's right for me. So please, as ever, thank you so much for your advice. I love it. Please give me your advice and comments down below. How do you want to run your business, or how do you run it? Or are you going to change things up? What are your, do you have a strategy? Are you just like, no, I'm just carefree and I just buy what I fancy? Yeah, tell me down below, because I really enjoy all of your comments and advice. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye, don't die.